Hi, I'm Shur-ēē Tay-bur, founder of Energy Healing Arts. Video number 2 on how to end an infection, a virus, or disease early. Okay, in video 1, quick review, we talked about how information such as trauma and other kinds of similarly resonant energies can come to us at the very earliest stages of our life, and how we can understand that to end viruses, to end the possibility of receiving nearly any, starts with clear fields, a clear causal body, clear auric fields, clear astral fields, and a clear etheric field. Understanding that energetic conditions come to us before, there's some noise outside, so sorry, that was a little distracting, that these energetic conditions come to us before we have a felt sense of being unwell in any way. And once you start to feel symptoms, once you began to sense itching or twitching, poking, pricking, discomfort or pain, or wheeziness, breathlessness, runny nose, itchy throat, just a sense of feeling. When you start to go down, when you're sleepy at times that are not normally or traditionally times when your well body needs to just be recovering. And by recovering, I mean restoring its energy. Some people need a little time early in the afternoon to restore themselves, and that may be the way they were created. But if you're feeling yuck, if you're feeling any sense of decline at times that are not always traditionally normal for you, if you're feeling less than you feel when that traditionally normal decline begins to happen, you've encountered an energetic condition. And the quicker you get rid of it, the more health you retain. Now, sometimes something like this can come to us. We can start to have symptoms. We can begin to feel ill, and in 24 hours, we kick it. But are we getting rid of the actual energetic condition that came to us? There's a thing called latency, Latency. When an energy leaves itself with you, hidden in a latent way, it will activate at a very specific time and day, or in the event of a very specific resonant trigger. And you're the only one left not knowing it. And this is why you can think you got rid of something and it can come back. Come back in 2 weeks, come back in 30 days, come back in 9 months. Those are not specific days. Those are just dates, the way it can work. In certain diseases, the word just left. We call it remission. Now, remission is known very traditionally in various kinds of disease states. But is remission just the latent activation of a hidden and intelligent energetic condition that never left? I suspect. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, and I haven't studied biology. I've studied energy. I'm learning every day of my life how energy that does not belong where it is can end things, anything that it has been intelligently encoded to end. Sometimes things just get where they shouldn't be. Sometimes it comes by virtue of crossing your field with another person's field. Sometimes when our field enters the field of place, there are other conditions that are randomly floating in the atmosphere because of the way the energy vibration is, and it can convey to you. I have personally visited places, many places, and I'm like, oh my God, I have stuff coming at me left and right. What the heck is violating? Well, then I call in all my protocol. I call upon my source incarnating, divinely created energies and essences. So pause that and repeat it and write it down, please. Because when you call on and you call in the cognizant presence of the divine, you will have changes. Things will begin to shift. That is also complicated because of how we came in. What the shift is challenging to say fully right here. I can be really clear and say, when I'm calling on my divine vital life force energy, which is my divine incarnating, source incarnating energies and essences, I am calling for an end to what's happening. You can be sure of that. Now, I've learned the hard way. I also came into this lifetime with some very, very important purposes, just like you did. Understanding some of them makes my life just a little easier, sometimes a little more frustrating. So I came in to experience certain things. Some of the things that I'm experiencing, I'm not really happy about. Some of the things I'm experiencing are teaching me so that I can do this work. I prefer to learn didactically. I do not prefer to learn experientially anymore. And I've made that really clear. And sometimes I'm going to experience something, and then I have to ask for the protections that I was promised before I came into this lifetime so that I have experiential sovereignty, even if my body, my whole self, is not effectively sovereign. Now, I have a few opinions about that, but I won't talk about them here. So I'll take effective sovereignty if I'm having to learn something that cannot be changed. And you can too, because if you are effectively sovereign, you're being held by the divine so that you are not harmed, so that you do not have an experience that you did not first, before incarnating, decide to have. And that's a promise. And so that's a divine promise. And I have learned to rest in that. And you will too. And we'll do more and more of these videos and explain some of these concepts, because understanding them will bring you a significant amount of peace in the middle of a circumstance. You're like, no, where's God if this is happening to me? Understanding certain things helps you understand how to navigate circumstances more safely, with a lot more peace, and without fear. And that is the constitution of safety, to navigate any aspect of your life without fear, without misunderstanding what's happening to you, without doubt that the divine is in fact fulfilling exactly what you said you wanted in this lifetime. And we don't always understand the purpose in the moment, but you can begin to understand the purpose. And we'll talk about that. Rewind this recording enough to go back and understanding what that whole constitution of safety is, of understanding, so that you can navigate your life with more certainty. And then when you write that down, hold on to that and start writing questions so you can ask the divine for answers. Because the more information you have, the easier it is to understand why certain things are the way they are. Okay. All right. So these are important, fundamental and foundational informations that are needed to understand how we can end infection, disease, and viruses, and even some bacteria by clearing our field. We can prevent it by clearing our field. And you might still encounter something if it was part of your purpose when you incarnated. And if we run into something, if we have an experience with something and we haven't recognized that it left information in our field, in our planes, in our spaces or hidden places within our whole self, and then we, as a result, encounter circumstance, could be a bout of bad luck. It could be an accident of some kind. It could be you go face to face with hate in the form of a human being that just went ballistic for no good reason. Could be that the vibration of what you encountered is calling in fields of infection. And any of these is possible, and so much more is when we encounter energetic conditions that come to sit within our whole self. Most of us are walking around in life believing that this physical body is who we are, just this physical body. We don't even know how intricate, how crucial, and how important our energy body is to the health, to the vibration, to the fulfillment of life of this physical part of ourselves. If your energy body isn't well, your physical body isn't either. And this is why we spend so much time talking about what's with your energy body. Okay, now, infection. At the time of this video, the creation of this video, our global collective in the US and beyond is experiencing RSV, it's experiencing flu, and it's experiencing COVID. What the divine shares with me is what most people are encountering is a combination of the three. Very briefly, very much not explained fully, when our fields, our energy body cross another's over and over and over, not just the same person, but you go to a restaurant, you go to a park, you go to a play, you park in a public parking garage on a busy evening, and you are crossing the fields, or God forbid, the elevator or the stairwell, right? We are walking through, breathing in and being stuck in the field of others. If they have RSV in their field, now you have the possibility of RSV conveying to yours. If the other person in the elevator has COVID in their field, COVID and RSV just said hello and vibrate resonantly, and they come together. And if you have resonance in your field for COVID, COVID's coming into your field. If a third person that you've encountered or whose field you're stuck in the middle of in any given circumstance, a crowded restaurant, at a traffic stop, in your own car, minding your own business, if they are carrying the flu and your field is crossing, the flu is sitting in your field. Will it come to you? It can, if you have a resonant energetic vibration with that version of the flu. So if you had a really bad day, you could very easily have encountered all three. And all three have a vibration that resonates on the same scale. They're going to have a little party, and they go to the most vulnerable areas of your body first. And by body, I'm speaking about your energy field. When an energetic condition makes its way to your physical body, it has traveled through via your astral field or your auric field or your causal bodies or your etheric field, or they managed to make their way to all of them. And if they come in out here, okay, or up or down or however, wherever your most vulnerable areas are and wherever they were able to connect, when your field crossed a person, a place, a thing, animate, inanimate, incarnate, non-incarnate, if your field crossed something and you have that resonant energy with you, it can come in. Okay. So in order for it to have an effect on your body, it has to get to the places within your field where it can project. It can begin to project to the areas that ultimately are susceptible to its vibration. And this gets more complicated, but most simply put, you could be wearing a mask and get all three because it starts energetically. This is, for me personally, very frustrating because, like you, I'm vulnerable. I've had COVID more than once. And once I had it for a very long time, which meant energetic COVID, which is in our environment, kept trying to come to me, even without me leaving my home. And for me, I have spent more than 2 years, almost 2.5, fighting to be free of energetic COVID. I mean, I've never fought for something so hard in my life, personally, for me, to be free of something I can't really see. I see it with my gifted seeing, but you never get a whole story. So it isn't that simple to end. And if you have conveyance, you have energy with you that says, hey, you over there, hey, come over here and I'll bring you in and you can do your disease here, because here's the vulnerable place in this field for your disease. This is how viruses, bacteria, syndromes, disease, illness, all kinds of infectious conditions are conveyed every second of every single day. Now, why am I making a video about this? Because after so many years of energetic COVID, because it's a heck of a lot more than 4. After so many years of energetic COVID and the longest pandemic on record, we are vulnerable to energetic diseases. We are vulnerable to viral infections, bacterial infections, and to other kinds of conditions. And because it reached a significant level of effect in 2021, we are all very, very capable of being communicated to by anything resonant to that which entered our fields, our body, our whole self, in a way we have never been. I've made some other videos that are complementary that will show you how to end the kind of conveyances and the kind of energies that sit in our planes, our fields, and our hidden spaces, so you could begin to eliminate this possibility. Now, if you've been watching this and you have an oncoming infection, you're like, would you get to it, please? I am, I promise, and I'm going to do it in the next video. These videos, when I break them up this way, give you a break, a way that you can walk away, think about it, come back to it, schedule time for the next video, look at it, see how long it is. And then you can sit through it in a way that you control your environment so you can understand it. I really do recommend, and you're watching this, so you're not the one doing it, but if you refer people to these videos, please don't have them skip to the video with the juice, okay? Because these basic understandings I'm sharing with you begin to clear information from your energy body. When your brain starts to hear what I'm saying, it is becoming aware of what it has become insensitized to, where it has become desensitized, where it has become accustomed, where it has become overshadowed and unable to perceive. This is how COVID came in a decade before infectious COVID came in. COVID as an energy came in and began to overcloud, overshadow, intrude, sit with this. This started for me 25 years ago. I was 36. A 36-year-old should not get this. And the way it came in, I always thought it would be resolved. When I got COVID the first time, this started to become more full like this. When I got long-term COVID, this started to sag way down here, way back here. This became full. Everything became full. You could say it looked like I had COVID fat, right? Like I got sick and got fat during COVID. I did gain a little weight, but this stuff, this came so that COVID could come to my most vulnerable areas, which are my lungs, my throat, my esophagus, my lymph system. That is how COVID started coming to us a decade before it came to us as a virus, which would be a year before most of us knew COVID as a virus existed. Please, watching video 1 and 2 is not a waste of time. It is not a waste of time for you to watch it again, because we want to wake up your brain. Most everyone has experienced intrusions into their etheric body. Almost everyone. Almost everyone has experienced intrusions into their causal bodies. Almost everyone has experienced intrusions into their astral body. And nearly everyone who's ever practiced shamanism, who practiced it traditionally via journeying, has encountered fields of intentions. And these intentions contain conveyances of energetic information that enter your astral field, because a journey signifies the intended detachment of your astral body from your auric body while you take a trip into an unknown realm. I am not disparaging shamanism. I am well trained in shamanism. And I will never journey because it is so very dangerous to our bodies. And I get even more information not journeying. Very, very important that if you are one who closes your eyes to take a trip someplace else, puts a mask on to take a trip to another space, another realm, another plane, if you do it with your eyes open, it's the same thing. your astral body and your auric body are intended to separate. And there is conversation around this in some shamanic circles, among some shamanic colleagues, about how to do it safely, how to do it this way and that way. There is zero safety in separating, intentionally or unintentionally, any aspect of your whole self, which was divinely, divinely, created for the purpose of wholeness, so that these four powerful bodies and fields connected, stayed connected, so it could transmit information the way the Creator intended for us to. For you and me to go through our day, to have knowings, to have genius levels that we don't even appreciate as a genius level. For you to be so beautifully unique, so well capable of that which you do, is because the divine Creator created you purposefully, created you in such a way that you can do miraculous things. And when we start to disengage that creation, which is your machine, your divinely created capacities to fulfill a divine purpose that you personally wanted, that was divine in its nature, so much important to you, that you left the heavenly realms, wherever that is, whatever that is, to come here in a vulnerable flesh and blood, energetic body to fulfill it. So this place could be better. Don't intend to separate. Do not journey with the intention to separate. I challenge you to learn how to do the work without journeying. I know that I'm probably going to receive a little bit of eek from that. It's worth mentioning. And it is totally your personal idea, decision, will. And if you would ask the divine, who is the Creator, who is pure source light, whom you might know as source, who will answer you, and you will know its source, because there's nothing like it, if that's the way for you to get information. What I can promise you is that the way you are supposed to get information is easier, safer, and more beautiful. And I've done both, and I know how beautiful journeying is. It's awe-inspiring in some cases, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous to your energy body and your physical body. So we got to this little place because the fields within which one journeys, whether you knew you journeyed in a field or not, you are. And the fields within which one journeys are energetic conditions. And when you go as a non-whole being, a non-whole person, not whole because you can't when you journey, you are vulnerable. And what you intend to stay here and what you take to be able to have cognitive understanding of what you're seeing and what you're learning is separated. This is why coming back and the way you come back is so critically important. But do you really know that you come back intact? Do you? Do you? I'll tell you why you can't. Because we don't know what that is. I've established in 2 videos why we do not understand the vulnerability of our whole self the power of our whole self if we're sovereign, the vulnerability of sovereignty. And then we talk about separating in any way whatsoever, or in any way leaving this realm that was created for you and me and for this body to go to a place we have no idea about. I don't care if you go there every day, 100 times a day. I don't care if you've learned east, west, north, south, the good sides of it and the not so good sides of it, and the energetic resonance of what isn't good for you. I don't care how well you know it. You do not know what you do not know. I'm not trying to create fear. If I stay right here in my office, downstairs in front of the TV, if I'm in a place and I stay just like I am right now, whole, connected to the divine, I can ask a question at any time. I can perceive beauty in the answers. I get visions. Some people's knowings are as beautiful, fulfilling, as visual without sight as my vision is. And what we receive in that is this felt sense of glory, beauty, awe, and majesty. You do not need to journey to get those experiences, because you're getting more than you understand. And this isn't my personal opinion. This is from the divine. I had my day in a journey, encountered an archangel whom I knew, who gave me the what for. What was I doing? What was I thinking? I've been doing this for a couple of decades, a little more than a couple of decades at that point. What do I think I'm doing? Traveling around in realms I have no idea about, no idea how I'm going to land there, what I'm going to encounter, and does what I encounter convey who it is in all truth? With a few words, I was out and I never journeyed again. And I spent a very long time trying to understand why the divine guided me to study a practice extensively, expensively, with several years of my life invested in it, back to back to back, to meet me in a realm doing what I was guided to do with a few sharp words in love, beautiful love, but in a way I got clearly, because they know me, to teach me something in a way I had never understood it, felt it. Not my, shamanism is beautiful, but it's not my way of practicing. It's not the way I came here to practice, but because the divine guided me to it, I did. And it was beautiful. It is beautiful. And it is not safe. So when we're talking about your energy body and your vulnerabilities, particularly after about 14 years of a very intense, ongoing establishment and cascading energetic conditions that are with nearly every single thing, not just humans, not just your pets, every single thing. Why go into other realms, into fields, because you're always in a field when you journey, into fields partially whole, vulnerable to any and all? Why? It's not okay. And I know my friends, my colleagues, this is how they practice, and I love them, and I don't judge them. Just sharing with you how dangerous this can be at a period of time when we are being conveyed to, and we're very vulnerable to infection, to viral, to bacterial infections, to disease, to syndromes, to all kinds of ailments that we do not understand yet because of this conveyance from field to field to field to field of a person, place, thing, and many other things we don't even think about. And this information exists in the oxygen we breathe, in the air we breathe, in the atmosphere we live in. And it conveys through so much that it would make you kind of batty if I tried to share it with you. So this was a little long. And even if you do not journey, it's important to understand what happens when we let our bodies separate. And there are a lot of people who don't even know what journeying is. And because of trauma, because of harm that they experienced, sometimes a person's astral field separates from their auric field. And when this occurs, you are just as vulnerable as those who are journeying. And this can stop. We can end that. And you want to, because life is easier if your body is whole. Your sovereignty and your life gets better immediately if you're whole. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in video 3, we're going to get right to how do we clear this? Okay? All right.